Take me home, bless our life, to the place I belong. In Africa, that's where I from. Wanna die on the
And you're listening to Love the Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, your number one African Caribbean online radio. We are back at it again. Very beautiful day in Toronto, plus 8 degrees Celsius, and it's sunny, beautiful, 2 minutes past 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're having a very great time. Folks, remember, Christmas is creeping up on us. Are you prepared? Are you going to be traveling? And let me put it this way. Let me digress a little bit. If you're celebrating a birthday like a day today, happy birthday to you. If you got a promotion this week or you are expecting a promotion at work, wherever you may be, congratulations. And you know what? It's well deserved. Today we are here to come and talk about what makes it so interesting. Because you know what? Entertainment or life without entertainment is no life. So today we'll be talking about women in entertainment. That's what we are going to be featuring our focus on. And without much ado, I have with me my compatriots. Yes, Ron Molinga is with us and Petra in the house. So you know what? Without much ado, Petra is going to take the lead role in this conversation. Petra, the road is your front. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, TRB. I'm honored. Thank you so much.
I think you're muted, Petra.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not muted. Can you hear me now? You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. But yeah, it's definitely great to be back on the show. How is To Afrika? And I'm really loving these discussions. I really love when we have artists on the show. You know what I mean? But I also love when we can really discuss certain topics within the industry because, there's a lot to talk about. You know what I mean? So I'm really happy that we have this platform to do both. So I know that one of the topics we want to discuss today is women in the music industry, and I know this is something that we brought up, or that was brought up when we interviewed the wonderful Tome. You know what I mean? Juno award-winning artist. So that was really, really great because she gave some really amazing perspective on that. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's definitely a conversation that we can discuss. Hence what we're doing right now. And so being myself a woman in the music industry, I really appreciate the opportunity TYB to allow me to speak about my experiences. Like where to begin, and I think every female artist has that same side and really thinks the same way because there's many things that you face in the industry as a woman. You know what I mean? I mean, definitely, not being taken seriously is definitely one of the biggest things. You know what I mean? um People can hear you sing, but at the same time it's like, in order for you to progress with your career, I feel like a lot of women are forced into situations where they have to compromise themselves, whether they have to compromise their art, you know, in relation to the type of music that they make and perform. All have to compromise themselves in other ways, you know what I mean? And whether it's being in relationships with people they work with, and we can definitely talk about like some of the sad cases and the most famous, of them all, like Aaliyah, the whole Aaliyah and R. Kelly relationship. You know what I mean? Like Aaliyah, I is all my one of my all time favorite artists. Like our female artist, Aaliyah, that she's my artist. Because her embodiment, like she was just an angel. She was just a really beautiful soul. But as I've gotten older now, and stories have come out about what she'd gone through. Like I remember when she first came out with her song, I think she was like 14 or 15, you know? So I think, a little bit younger than that when I heard Agent Nothing But a Number and back, like back and forth. My favorite songs, you know what I mean? And but being an older person now, hearing about, and just thinking about her being 15, being in a relationship with a man that's in his mid 20s, you know what I mean? And then marrying that man. So it takes away from the music. And I feel like, not to say that young men or guys haven't probably been in a similar situation, it's just a lot more prevalent when it comes to women. You know what I mean? And it's really sad. You know, we're still in an industry that is heavily male dominated, even to this day. In the longevity of the music industry, you know, with women's rights and, you know, a lot more women in the workforce and so many more things, but yet in music it is still very much male dominated, even though we recognize the fact that most of the demographic, like the biggest demographic of supporters of music, is women. So how can the biggest consumers of music be women, but yet they are the most underrepresented in the music industry? You know what I mean? I myself, I'm a reggae artist, and there's many reggae shows I've gone to, and it's like 10 male artists. You know what I mean? Not one female artist. So there's so much to really unpack, you know, in relation to where we come from, where we are now, and where we're heading to. So I just kind of want to open the door, because just like you guys, I could talk about this all day. You know what I mean? So feel free to jump in.
Yeah, if I can go around, let me read this one. I did a research, and it says that in 2022, 30% of artists on the Billboard Hot 100 year-end charts were women. 30%, which was an improvement over 2021's 23.3%. Yes. And across an 11-year span and 1,100 songs, the overall percentage of female artists was 22.3%. This is a ratio of 3.5 male artists to every one female artist. This is quite serious. But then if you look at it, it jumps a little bit on the percentage scale. And I think there's more, there has to be more than meets the eye in terms of increasing the numbers, because just like you were alluding to, a lot of men, women, especially managers and people involved in the industries, have never taken women as so serious as they are supposed to be. But I think I'm seeing an improvement, but we will get there if we have to take this year's Grammy nominations into consideration. There's been a marked improvement with respect to how many women have been, what would be the right word, have been nominated. This is an improvement. There's more to be done with respect to that. Ron?
Yeah, I'm glad you have those facts, TYB. Thanks for bringing those in. That really sheds a good light on just what the numbers are, and numbers don't lie. That's where I would go with that, in saying that, you know, it's clear. You can look at the charts. You can look at, for instance, as I pointed out to both you and to Petra, that if you look at, say, the Afrobeat world and the Afrobeat charts, I'm still seeing, I don't know what the numbers are like you, very good for you. I don't know what the numbers are, but it still is about a ratio of about 10 to 1 of males to females. And I think that it's just unfortunate. And I know I can get Stupan Petra's sort of off the screen right now, but I know I can get her really feisty about this. She gets feisty about this, and as I brought this topic up a few weeks ago. And I think that it's important that we discuss this, because, as we all know, that it's not right yet. I do agree, is what was said, TYB, about the Grammys, or maybe it was Petra who said that the Grammys are evidence of more women coming on the scene and being nominated in, which I think is great. I don't care about gender really too much when it comes to great songs. I'm sure you could all agree with this. However, it's nice. It would be nice if things were even Steven, but I don't know if that ever is going to happen. I know that I saw the news last night, and they were talking about the police force, and it's a goal of the police here in Canada to have 30% women by 2030. They're not even there yet. So I just wish that we could at least see a 50-50 thing. I work with mostly females, and I tell you, it wouldn't have mattered to me, male, female. Gender, once again, is not a big thing. I don't care. However, what I don't like is when things aren't fair. And that we have seen in the industry time and time again. As Petra, you pointed out, I think we were offline at the time, and that was the billboards that are coming up, and women are having to expose, a huge amount of their body, and which is totally unnecessary. Why do we have to do this? You don't see men doing this like that, or being, I don't know, I'm going to guess forced to do that. So I think it's a good area of discussion. To me, I just wish that we could see more legitimate artists in there getting treated equally. And I will say, Petra, you brought up, well, I will bring up Celine Dion. I mean, what was she, 14, and her husband's in her 30s or something? Celine's going to listen to this, and I'm going to get slapped in the face, I'm sure. Yeah, and I just think, come on, I mean, they got together. Something similar happened to the jazz pianist. I'll remember her name. She's from Nanaimo. Anyways, she is just one of the best jazz piano players, and she's married to a husband that's got to be in his 40s, and she was in her 20s. And I think, my, oh my, and so it's just, I'll come to with the name, but it doesn't really matter. It's the fact that we see so many women being taken advantage of. I could speak to this all day, and you two would never have a chance. So,
yeah, that's fine. But thank you for your points there, Ron. One thing that did come across my mind, and I would love to get both of your feedback on this, because right now, like, we see how the music industry is right now. You know what I mean? We see it. Right now, it's in a position where predominantly male. But I want to pose to you guys, like, how do you think the music industry would be different, or how do you think it would be similar if the roles were reversed? If right now we're in a situation where the music industry was female dominated and men were the minority, what would that look like to you guys? Do you think?
Ron, you want to go first? Or?
I know, I see what I mean.
Okay. If the roles were reversed, I don't think the men would take it, would sit back at all. Because that male chauvinistic kind of attitude would have come out. Because, like, the moment society stated that this role is for women, that role is for men, and that kind of stuff has kind of affected both genders, but more so women. Because if we unwrap everything that society has bestowed upon us, and we look at it, we are no different. We are no different. From where I came from Ghana, when I was growing up, women, if a woman was seen riding even a bike, it was a no-no. It was a no-no, because women were not supposed to ride bikes, let alone, oh yes, because the African, let me put it this way, the African society, very conservative, extremely conservative, very, very conservative. They don't say, yeah, we are going to accept this. Before they accept anything at all, you have to jump through so many hoops. Religious, family, and society. So, to the answer, and the answer to your question at this particular point in time, my first part of it would be, men wouldn't have taken it lightly, because we see it right now, even in the DJ industry right now. It's part of the music industry. How many women do you see? You don't see a lot of women, but there are some great DJs out there. DJ Aisha, DJ Aisha, for instance, one of the best. She's the queen of the turntables. That's what she's been, So the roles would have been reversed. So the whole thing is that if we give the chances to each genre, each gender, what they are supposed to do, sometimes there could be a spillover and stuff like that. So there's got to be something, a free kind of societal values that we have to undergo to be able to respect everyone, because everyone is capable of doing anything and everything, right?
Yeah, I can speak to this well in terms of what I came out of for a career. For 32 years, I was teaching music, and it was at the school I worked at for 30 some years. It was mostly women. I would say it was sitting at 90% women.
Oh wow.
Was that ever looked down at or frowned upon? Never. I had many parents though come to me and say, I'm glad you're my son's teacher, because she hasn't had a male teacher in 5 years. So I can speak to this in terms of the way to me, it doesn't matter whether there's more males, more females. I wish there were more females that were taking on more roles in the music industry and able to, but I don't know how many managers you're seeing who are female managers, people that are taking, as we would say, the bull by the horns and saying, I'm going to be upfront and do that. And that concerns me, because I get worried of the role that women are sort of feel like they're stuck into or stuck in. Petra, you can probably speak better to this than I can. But for instance, as an example, I see as a musician, I see less musicians who are, say, for instance, my first instrument is bass guitar. I don't see very many female bass guitars by comparison to males. Males, once again, rule this by 10 to 1. One of the best out there for recording artists was Carol Kay. She was absolutely stunning, great studio musician. One of the very few who I've heard over the years who's been able to come forward and do that, which is still today is still happening. And it concerns me in the music industry. This seems to be very prominent in the music industry. I know that many other places, I don't know about you, but female doctors, male doctors, to me, I don't care which one I see. I'm almost seeing, I don't want to say an equal yet here where we live, of males to females. However, I see less of this happening in the music industry, equality that we call it. And I wish it would. I mean, for us I'm in a band and there's 3 guys. We love to have a female front the group, but finding a female is like, I don't know, it's just like pulling teeth. And it's just one of those things that just doesn't allow us to do a lot of songs by women that are right now dominating the Grammys. So, which I am so happy to see. However, once again, I don't care. I don't really look and see if it's male or female. I just look and say, hey, those are great songs. But I notice Afrobeat World still sits mostly male dominated. So I think there's the 2 I can think of as Tyla and is Eris Star. I think. Can't think of who else is female from that in that genre. I don't know. In the Grammys, anyways.
I think that there's something that I will add to what you just said. It feels like if you see girl bands, something serious, something everybody like the women came from Saturn or Mars or something, but they're musicians. They are artists. We have Resolution. Resolution is an all-female group in Toronto. Great group. Individually, they are great instrumentalists. Individually, the drummer, oh my God. Yes, but everybody like, oh, look at the woman playing this. No, they are musicians. You see, it's society that has planted this in our minds to tell us that, you know what, that's a girl group. Oh, that's strange. Oh my God. A societal values that has been put on us. And it's wrong. It is seriously wrong. I think women can do what men can to, you know, given the chances. Like Ron also um, um, uh, spoke about Afrobeat music. Well, we'll get there because it seems the men are dominating, but there are some good Afrobeat women out there. In reggae,
Mm-hmm.
I think the reggae artists, the women, have excelled. They've come out,
Mm-hmm.
they're tough. They are very tough. They've been able to withstand all those pressures because reggae is a male-dominated kind of genre. But the women have done well. But it's, the well that they've done is not good enough for me. I think there's more room for improvement. Right, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely. I totally agree with you in relation to the female artists that are dominating right now, the few that are holding a certain pedestal. I know Ron, it was Ron that introduced me to Arya Star and Tyler. So thank you, Ron, you know. And they are doing really well, you know what I mean? They're really dominating Afrobeat. And when it comes to reggae, you know, what comes to mind is Lila Ike. She's a really phenomenal reggae artist. Jan Nines, another amazing one. I'm not really into dancehall much, but I know Spice is definitely really made a name for herself. So I feel like the women that are holding and Thames, how can I forget Thames? Oh my
Yes,
gosh,
yes, yes,
I
yes.
cannot forget Thames. She's phenomenal.
Mhm.
And
I
Etana,
mean, I beg your pardon?
Etana.
It's that's what I'm saying, Elaine. The list can go on. You
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
I mean? And that's the thing right now. It's like the few women that are holding positions in the industry and are excelling are phenomenal. So then why are they not allowing more to go to the forefront? You know what I mean? It's like the handful that we have are really good. So why not have more? You know what I mean? Um, for me, because especially now I'm into marketing, so it's like I have my music mind and I have my marketing mind, right? So it's like it's down to, I would say it'd be down to demographics. I would have to look at the numbers, which is, I can't believe I'm saying that, but I would have to look at the numbers and really see pretty much the impact of music on like the general population right now, and just to really confirm that women are, you know, the dominant consumers, and to find out, okay, so that what is it that women want in the music industry? Like, what is it that the masses want? You know, because if, for example, if women are the biggest consumers, right, then you have to think about it. Like, a lot of these women, do they want to see like a male out there, or do they want to see a woman out there? I guess it depends. You know what I'm saying? So that also could attribute to the demographics of the industry, because more women are consumers, hence maybe that's why there's more men. Or it could also be a part of the fact that it's male dominated, and because it's male dominated, women aren't given certain opportunities. However, this year, especially with the Grammys, it's been highlighted that more women have more positions, you know, and getting more nominations. So you can see that a conscious change is being implemented. You know what I'm saying? But it's just pretty much to what avail. You know what I'm saying? So feel free to jump in.
Petra, I'd be interested in knowing. Here's one of the things that comes up in with women, of course, is that there's this sort of cliche that women are, are to be, living at home and staying at home with the kids, which is, a crock. And I think that what I'm curious to know is how often women find it difficult, because, like, you would know because you're a mother. What is this like as a mother trying to, say, be in the music industry with a child or two or three?
Exactly.
That becomes problematic as well, and that's a whole different story. But I think you would speak better to this than I think I can. Because it's just interesting to see that role that women play. It seems that women
Mhm.
often have cliche roles, like the cooking and the cleaning, which is a pile of crock. I'll say it again like that because it's not. Um, my wife and I share the deeds evenly, or so I think. However, I'm curious to know how you find this as being a parent. because I wonder how many artists who are female are saying, I can't have children because, well, one, they're going to be, well, I don't want to say getting in the way, but they take up time. And will that affect my career? So you can speak to this better than I can.
That's to me on TYB.
Well, you're the mother.
Wow,
That's
that makes
Mhm.
sense. No, yeah, that definitely plays a key factor. You know what I mean? Because any woman that's in the music industry that does have a child, that is like a big thing you have to balance. You know what I mean? And I always think about how did Diana Ross do it? You know what I mean? I always think about how did she do it because she was like, the Beyonce of her time. And she had a lot of kids. I didn't realize, but she still managed to maintain her status in the industry. But I would love to find out like what is her relationship with her children. You know what I'm saying? Because whether it's music, business, whatever, it's like when you have a child, you're always battling whatever it is that you're focusing on as well, whether it's work, a business, music, whatever. You you always have the two no matter what, because there are some people out there that have children and don't care about them or what have you, or I can be disconnected. But a majority of the population that has a child, especially when it comes to women, they're not their child is their priority. You know what I mean? So I think that is definitely a challenge. And when I look at some of the women that have lasted long in the music industry nowadays, I feel, and even in acting, I have to kind of say like Jennifer Aniston, or like Naomi Campbell, I believe. And when it comes to like a Mary J. Blige, they've had amazing, successful careers, but they don't have any children. You know what I mean? Like Mary J. Blige, for example, like she's the queen of R&B soul, the queen, and she looks phenomenal, a fantastic career. But it's like, would she be where she is right now if she had a child? You know what I mean? That's like a big thing. So I see that with certain women that like, is it a personal choice? Is it contractual? Like, like you not having a child, was that more an internal decision to do with your career? Because even with me, it's like I never really, and I love my son. I love my son. I'm so happy and blessed and thankful. But my focus was always to fulfill like my obligation when it came to like school, my career, business, to get myself established and then have a child. It just didn't work out that way. It's like the child came first. Like the chicken or the egg, what comes first? You know what I mean? And this came, it was the egg, my baby. So I had my son, but then it's like because he got diagnosed with autism, automatically like my focus had to be solely on him. You know what I mean? And then music, I've been singing from I was 3, but I was put in a position where I had to choose between my son and my music. You know what I mean? And it's really a shame that you kind of have to choose. I feel like once a person has shown themselves to be focused and committed to a certain path, I feel like resources should be available in an ideal world. You know what I mean? But that it doesn't work that way. So I literally had to choose between my son and my music career. So I had to put music on pause, as say from 2010, 11 up until like 2016, and then in between that time I went to Jamaica. And then luckily I had like family and friends who were supporting me that could help me with my son, that could allow me to go to Jamaica, open up a restaurant, do music. And that's when I really found my sound. But I needed that time away from motherhood to focus on my music. But it's only because I had the right support system, you know? Um, so I feel like that really does have an impact on women in the industry. I feel like everyone's different, but you have to have a game plan. You kind of have to have a game plan with your career. And I think what a lot of young women, and this is just my opinion, you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of young women that get into the industry, they don't think long term. They think about now, you know? Oh, like I'm gonna get my song bumping now, and on like my song's playing right now. Like they focus on the now, but what about 5 years from now? What about 10 years from now? Like, are you in this industry planning for the next decade, or are you just focusing on the now because that's gonna impact where you go? You know what I mean? Like someone like a Beyonce, you can tell she planned for the decades. Like she planned to have a long. You can tell she planned that. Whereas some other women, they get into it and it's not a plan. It's kind of like they're going with the flow, you know. So definitely feel free to jump in.
She has 3 children. Actually, she was late for the Grammys last year because of her children. That's funny. Go ahead, TYB.
But it's reality, and that's what I love. Reality.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think anybody's looking down at that. They just thought, okay, that's part of life. So, anyways, TYB, go ahead.
Yeah, like what Petra was saying, with Diana Ross and the others who had children, who still have children, whilst working professionally as musicians or artists, if I can put it that way, I think it gets to a point where, like you rightly said, Petra, that you don't have to choose. You didn't have to choose. But when it gets to that point that you have to choose, of course, your family life comes first, right? Your child comes first. But then with all these people that we're talking about, they had what it takes or what it took them at a time to be able to hire people to be taking care of the children. But it's not the same. It is not the same at all. Because even if they were not artists and they were, say, new mothers, or let me put it there, new mothers going to work and then leaving their child with a babysitter. Most times they don't feel that they have to leave them. I've been a father and I wasn't happy leaving my child, with a babysitter. But then it's work. You got to do it. But at the end of the day, you have to choose. If you are choosing, then sometimes you have to take a time off like Rihanna did. And most of them have done it too. Then when it comes to having to choose, then you don't have anything to choose. You've made up your mind. I'm going to have the baby. I'm going to have babies or whatever. In 2 years, I'll be back. But before you go, you know exactly what your contractual obligations are. And I don't think any manager out there will say, no. Go and tie your tooth, so to speak, and don't have children because we signed a 3-year contract with you and you have to abide by that. No, nobody can stop you from doing that. You see, these are some of the things that women face. The restriction is there. But on the man, with respect to the man, there's nothing like that because the man will go and do his business, right? And come back to work. And the woman is the person carrying the child. So in this particular case, I don't vouch for the men at all. I don't vouch for the people in the music industry who make these kinds of decisions. And like we're saying, it doesn't augur well for women at all. And then let me go back to the stats that I started with. It says that overall, it says the growth of women artists overall was not observed for underrepresented artists. Half of all artists in 2022 were from underrepresented racial ethnic groups. However, this was a decrease from what the study found in 2021 when 57.2% of artists were underrepresented. Overall, 48.1% of all artists on the Billboard Hot 100 year-end chart from 2012 to 2022 were underrepresented when it comes to women. There's very scary stats. Very scary stats at all. And it goes on to say that 2022 was a key year for women of color. 65% of all underrepresented artists were underrepresented women. This is an increase from 55% in 2021. Oh, wow. The percentage of underrepresented men artists declined from 58% to 45%, which is huge. The decline is huge. So if we look at it from this angle, not going back past the last 2 years, are like what we are looking at or what we are listening to right now is only 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And prior to that, what was it? Prior to that, I think it was a male-dominated, well-preserved, sovereign kind of industry for men. But I think with these stars, I think we are beginning to see a change in that. With the men from 58 to 45 is huge. It's a huge decline, right?
Yeah. Well, men aren't as good. Sorry, I'll say it like that. Pardon my sarcasm, but no, I think that when you look at numbers like that, I think you have to think about it as why is this the case?
Mhm.
Why? What can you put your finger on any one thing that says that why is there a decline or an increase in any one of those? Why? That's where I would probably be asking, or is there a reason why, or is there a legit reason? Or, for instance, as an example, I'll bring it up again, are women having less children now? Because, and then thus having more time. I know that many of my colleagues that I've had in the past, many of the women and men decided not to have children.
Yeah.
So that decision of theirs is fine, whatever, like myself, let's say. But then you're, so to speak, more free, pardon the phrase, but it's just a way that maybe this is why we're starting to see more women come on to the situation or into the industry, and because they're choosing not to. I mean, I don't want to bring this topic up because this is a whole different topic, but if you think about global warming and climate change, many people are saying, I'm not bringing children into this world because I might die of old age, but my child's going to die of climate change. That's a different topic. However, it's just one of those things where I wonder when women are making that choice not to have children because they want to try and be successful in the industry, which is still extremely difficult for anyone. I just wonder how differently they're treated from what the interview that I heard when I was on the highway when I was listening to your show with Tome. I thought, ooh, boy, it sounds like you have had to do some things that I would suspect that men would not have to have done.
Yeah.
And I just wonder about that. And it had me thinking, going, okay, let me think here. What else? I mean, she was saying that some of the artists were great that she worked with, and she worked with some really well-established artists. But I thought, I don't know if I'd want to be a woman laying on some of the stages that she played on, because it sounded like it was not always the best experience from her. That's what I got out of it in this. Fortunately, she worked with her father, and that was, in a sense, a protector, I would hope. But I don't know if I would want to be in that situation anyways. Tough call here, because it is tougher. I mean, look how many men take advantage of women. We see that on a daily basis. All you have to do is turn the news on in any one day, and you'll see that time and time again about what's happened with women and men, and the problems women have had with men. I just wonder about why, in a sense, why would you want to go into the music industry? It's tough enough to make it, but then look at all the garbage you're going to have to put up with from men, egotistical and otherwise, in this industry. And I can only imagine what it would be like for a woman by comparison to what it would be like for a man. Men, I don't want to say we stick up for ourselves better, but we're not afraid to punch each other in the face if something goes bad enough. We never had to do that, but however, women are just not. I wonder where it is and how it is that we're ever going to come down to an even line. Is that what we're looking for, though? Are we looking for an even Steven line? And I don't think you're ever going to see that in life, period. Because it just, I don't think you'll see it. It's not going to. It's a tough industry for women, especially. I would not want to be in this, especially the garbage that I'm seeing them having to do, like that you pointed out with the billboards as I brought up already. It's just, to me, that's disgusting. I just kind of wonder why. Why are you having to go through this and having your whole body almost explode? I look at Tyler as an example, and I think, how come, as I brought up to you both already, is how come she had to go on stage with a
Mm,
bikini, and she's almost revealing every inch of her body, and yet we don't see males doing
mm,
that. I
Yeah.
mean, why? Is because men are less attractive and you wouldn't want to see them in the mosquitoes? I have no idea, but it's just to me, it's like, why is there such a huge difference from men and women in the industry? And I'm wondering about Tyler, cases like hers, why she feels like she has to do that. Everything I see on Instagram or on Threads or any place I see her, she's always got some kind of bikini on. I'm kind of going, all right, why? Why? Why is that needed? Petra,
mm.
look out what you're going to have to do soon, eh? If you get back in the music industry.
I think my bikini days are over for now, honestly. No
What's
bikinis
the?
around here.
That's right.
It just
But
seems
yeah.
so sad
Yeah.
to me, and why? And is that contractual?
Um, like Petra, was it Norma? What was
Mm.
her name? Norma, the young lady who was last week.
Yeah,
We were
on
talking
the
about
billboard.
on the billboard who was nude, basically nude to
Oh,
promote her.
Normani.
No
Normani. Oh,
money. Yes, yes.
oh
A
my
situation
gosh.
like this. A
It
situation
makes
like
me
this.
so sad.
That's the one I'm
It's just such
referring
a
to. What you?
beautiful, you know what I mean? You can tell, like, I'm not trying to be funny, but it's just reality. There's some women that get into the industry that have a lot more sexual confidence, right? And there's other
Mhm.
women that you could tell that that is not natural to them. They have other talents. Maybe they have
Yeah.
the more charismatic or the sweet and or soulful or what have you, but it's like they're making women compromise themselves. So if something is not natural to them, if they're not naturally exuding that sexual prowess, they have no choice but to exude it anyway, like a Tyler. Like, to me, yeah, she's beautiful. She looks so cute in that bikini, nice, sexual, whatever. But I could tell it's not natural to her. Like, it's not her personality type. Same with Normani. Normani was forced to be naked in a photo shoot, and then that photo shoot was used, or that photo was used as the debut for her album. I'm sorry, for her single. And you can tell when these artists sign these contracts, they're signing over their rights of their image, their likeness, all of what have you, for all perpetuity or whatever. And it's like you could tell she was shocked by the image, because she has no control over how she's perceived to the public. And that's what happens when you are at the whim of a label, depending on whatever deal it is. And that's the thing I feel like with some women, they come into this industry so, what's the word? Like, just delusional in a way. And it's not really delusional, but it's like you come in with all these like ideas and fantasies and aspirations and dreams of how it's going to be in this industry. Do you think it's all going to be peaches and cream and butterflies and roses and flowers and skipping? And it's not. It's the total opposite. Is sometimes some aspects of it is like horrible. You know what I mean? And it's only since I've gone older and I've watched documentaries of artists and female artists like from the 60s, 70s, 80s, because I love Motown. You know what I mean? Motown is like my era. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's like I'll
Mhm.
go back and watch biopics of some of these artists, and it's like the thing that they went through. And it's like, oh my gosh, when I was growing up singing Motown songs to my teddy bears, I wasn't thinking about the reality, because again, it's a different time now where we're being exposed to all the aspects of all the industry. We have so much information, so we know what's going on. Back then it was very limited, and in order for them to um keep up this facade, in order for us to continue to buy into brands and buy into artists in a way, we weren't told the truth. When now
Mhm.
it's like the truth is given to us, and it's our choice in relation to what we want to do in a way. So it's kind of blessing in that regard. But yeah, man, it's just really, really, it really saddens me. You know what I mean? And you made some really good points there, Aaron. I'm trying to remember. There's a point that you mentioned. It's gonna come back to me. But yeah, it really is sad that I feel like a lot of these women do have to make a choice, you know what I mean, not to do certain things, you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
because they want to succeed in an industry that is continuously compromising them and taking from them. You know what I mean? That's what is happening, you know?
And
Yep.
I think with Harvey Weinstein's thing has brought home to a lot of these producers and all these people.
Mm,
Those who may have done stuff may be thinking right now as to whether they are going to be the next fall victims. Yes, the Me Too revolution is there. So if they are not thinking about not how to abuse women in the industry, if they are not thinking, they better be thinking quick, because it's a different era. Just like how Petra, you said it, because right now everything is on the cell phone. The whole world is in your in your palms. Now let's look at songwriting. We don't normally talk about songwriting. This study also says that while certain areas of representation have improved, the report shows that women songwriters have consistently seen little to no growth. In 2022, 14% of
mm.
songwriters were women. Only
Mm.
14% were women, roughly equal
Oh
to
wow.
2021. In total, women comprised only 12.8% of the songwriters evaluated from the past 11 years, a ratio of 6.8 men to every one woman songwriter. And that the study also examined how many songs included a woman songwriter. And more than half of songs across 11 years did not credit a woman songwriter, while 43% had one or more women songwriters. In contrast, less than
Wow.
1% of all songs were missing male songwriters. Additionally, the 12 male songwriters who had the most credits across the sample were collectively responsible for crafting nearly 25% of the 1,100 song sample.
Mm.
Mhm.
I guess they're not as good as men. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Interesting you should say that because what I hear about this, and something comes to mind really quickly.
You
I
got
want to touch on
jokes,
something you.
Aaron?
Hey, yes, the jokes. I'm going to touch on something, and then I'm going to come back to this topic there, Jeremy. Petra, you brought up something about women, and if you look at Miley Cyrus when she did her aunt's song, Dolly Parton's Jolene, she redid Jolene. You
Jolene,
look at
Jolene.
that video of her, and she is dressed just really nicely. You know, she's got a nice
Mm,
blouse on, and I don't know if it's a pair of pants or a dress or something. Looks really good. She's fine. And then if you look at her latest video, or one of her latest videos that got her a Grammy nominee, she comes right down to wearing
mm.
a bikini and just a bikini, and throughout the video. And so I think, okay, is that how far you have to come to make it in the industry? Now, in regard to that, I can bring up Miley Cyrus because a friend of mine, we were talking because we were playing the song Flowers a few weeks ago and just learning the song. It's a really simple song, but it's a great song. And I said that, I told the fellow that who it was Miley Cyrus' song, and he said, "Oh, okay." And he was arrogant enough to say, or something similar to, he didn't believe that she could actually write a song like that. And if you look in the credits, her name is very. I hope he's not listening to the show. However, if you look at the credits, she sits as number one in there. Now, whether it's done alphabetically, I have no clue as to what role she played in it. But there was 3 people in
Yeah.
it, and so I just thought, well, of course she could write a song like this. Why not? It's what part she played in. Who cares? Who knows? Maybe she did the lyrics. Maybe she did double works, and they're the other position I don't see women taking on very much of is producers. I see that very, very
Mm,
dominantly men who are the producers. Now, there are some good female producers out
true.
there, don't get me wrong. However, that's another area of the music industry where we're seeing very few of them. Most of the producers that I think we all are aware of are probably well, most of them are men. The Quincy
Mhm.
Jones, the David Fosters, the Bill Schnees, the guys that really done well for themselves. This isn't saying women can't do that. How hard is it to turn knobs and slide buttons? That's not something physical you have to be able to do. It just takes brains and good ears. So I kind of wonder about why people aren't doing that. Women aren't playing more of a dominating role in that too. Um, so it's really sad where that all goes as to why those numbers are like they are. You brought up TYB, like why are they so low? Why can't they write songs just as well? I tell you, I've seen just as many males that don't write great songs as females. But as for why women aren't getting the credits, that doesn't make sense to me. Maybe because I don't know, they wrote the lyrics and the other men wrote the dominating part of the song. I have no idea. What is it? Is it because I don't get it? I don't understand that. Why would that be the case?
I think, Ron, I think even if it's a good song, the hoops that the person will have to go through for her to be even given the chance to go into the studio to record will be different, because it's a good song. But well, because she's a woman, well, if you don't do this, I won't do that. And those kind of stuff. Intimidation. And the person also wanting to say that, you know what, African, this song is going to be great, the greatest of all. Well, you got to do A, B, C, D, E, or you don't do it. So a lot of them don't do it. But I think in today's world, where you can have your own studio at home, you don't need that. And I think it's going to improve much more than we even anticipate. Because you don't have to go through all these kind of stuff. But like I always say, the cell phone, you can record on it, you can edit, you can shoot music video on it, you can do whatever you want with it. You don't need a big voice at some point in time. You can sell your music on social media. So this is one step that can help blunt that kind of situation, because as we're speaking about it, if I don't come, you don't get me. The thing is, I'm doing what I want to do. Tetra, you are a case in point. You are doing your own stuff. You are not relying on anybody to come and tell you, okay, do that. You're supposed to go to the studio. Let's go and have dinner. Let's go. No, it's not like that anymore. So I think if we have to factor in a whole lot of things are changing, and it will change as fast as it can, because the Harvey Weinstein thing has also come to help a lot. So if the numbers are dropping, I think it's because, personally speaking, I think the Harvey Weinstein saga should be also considered as a factor that is determining who should go and who shouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's true. I agree. That's a good case in point with Harvey Weinstein. I think that you're going to have to. I think we're going to see. Hopefully, we get to see, as you get people using their DAWs and their digital audio workstations, all from a computer. I think hopefully we're going to see more women take this role on. I was talking to a woman just today about it over the last few days, about getting your songs out there without having to go and get a producer from Toronto. She lives here on the West Coast, to come all the way to the West Coast, because I said, you can do it right from your home. And there are so many artists today who I see doing that. And as long as you're doing it well, there will never be a cover up for this. The song better be good, because I don't, personally, as a musician, as a human being, I don't care what the song's like. If it's garbage, who cares who wrote it? It's garbage. But if it's a woman or a man, that's the last thing I worry about. The only time that I will check about gender is when I'm kind of figuring out, is that a man or a woman singing this because the voice is so high or something like that, or the voice is so low, and I'll listen to it and go, okay, is it okay? Let's go check. Who's that? Is that? So that's the only time I will check for gender, just because I'm curious about whether this guy can sing that high or this woman can sing that low. Other than that, it's hopefully, I'm hoping that the world, as for what we're seeing in the Grammys, that this will become less and less of the case. And I hope more women, as they say, take the bull by the horns and go, hey, I'm going into this. And basically, you're not going to stop me. And I hope that happens, because I can do it all from home just about if I want to. And I think that's what women, and like anybody, will have to do, is just go and say, I'm going to do it. And you don't need muscles, as I say, to push those sliders and to dial those dials, or to run a big studio. Anybody can do that, as long as you have the smarts, as I said already.
Most definitely. I wanted to say I do totally agree with you, Ron. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the show Empire. It's one of my all-time favorite shows. I'm rewatching it right now. You know what I mean? I could rewatch that series over and over again because it's about business, it's about the music industry, it's about so many different things. The reason why I bring it up is because I'm actually watching a section in the season 6, and it's literally where some of the female members left Empire and they started their own label, called Bossy Media. And it's an all women run recording label. So all women producers, all women musicians, it's an entire like run female like organization, and it's beautiful to see, you know what I mean? And I remember there was a scene where they put on a show, and like it was all women in the crowd, it was 4 women, and it was so empowering. It was just a really beautiful thing to see. So the fact that it can be done out there in like Hollywood or what have you, that's showing the imprint that it is possible. And I'm sure there actually are some all female ran and record labels, production. I know there's some out there, but again, like you mentioned, Ron, it's very few and far between. And again, that could be attributed to so many things. Like you make a really good point, in relation to recording. Even me too. Like I remember the last song that I recorded, I ended up recording it at home. You know what I mean? I had someone record the song for me. I went to Long and McQuaid. I got the condenser mic, got the headphones, I got all the hookups, and I recorded in my house because I didn't want to have to drive an hour to the studio because I'm a mom and I have to watch my son as well as record. So my son's in the room. I'm like, shh, be quiet, okay? Mom recorded, and I recorded an amazing song, and that song should be coming out very, very soon. So I'll give you guys a heads up. But that's the thing when you're a woman, you have to find ways to make it work. And because we carry other roles than men, like that's the reality. Like we're mothers, you know what I mean? And there are some really great dads out there that do hold the reins and do a lot of the work, but majority of the time it's the women, you know what I mean? So when you're in this music industry, and most likely you're gonna have a child, there's gonna be some level of compromise there. But I do believe that all the things that we aspire to achieve in the music industry, it can be done. You know what I mean? So,
wow. Why not? I agree. How could a person disagree with that? TYB and me, as both as men, aren't going to ever disagree with that. I don't think I'm speaking on your behalf here, TYB. I'm speaking on both of our halves. I would never disagree with that. I'd say this: if you can do it all from home, yes, why not? Mm-hmm. Why not?
Yep. Yeah.
And this is why I was talking about this woman I was talking to the last week or so. I'm trying to do the same thing to her. I'm saying, look, you can do this all at home, because she has a child and a husband and all the likes, and she has a business as well. So I think go for it, and I mean, she's gonna, she said even to me today, she's gonna buy the same dog that I'm using, and I can help her out. I'll help her out all the way along, just so that she can start doing things for herself at her home, which I think is where many artists are doing things anyway. It's the only time that I would know. I'm not going to say that. I was going to say something about in the studio. The best thing about the studio is that you're going to have a really good producer, and you're going to have all of everything that you need for hardware to put out a good album. And that's when the production comes in, and that's a whole different story. But the recording, like you said, Petra, can all be done from home. So I don't see why women are any different than men. and in this department. It's whether you want to. I think that's one thing, and
Mm.
whether you take the responsibility of having a child, being able to maybe work at the same time and also do, a recording career or a music career in the music industry is all up to you. But it is, you've got to, juggle your balls just right so that things all don't fall apart. And it's just, I think it's a matter of desire. To me, that's what it looks like.
It's a very good conversation. But we before we go, we didn't even talk about female music producers. We've talked about songwriters. What about female producers? Somebody just texted me and said, "Why are there so few female music producers?"
Mhm.
That's the question. And I'm
Mm.
going through. Yes, it's because the same music producers are approached. The same guys who make the hits are the same ones who are approached to produce music for people, including mostly women. So you know what? If you know that that person is good, you want to go there. But then there may be other women producers who may be so good. They are silent. They are very quiet, and we don't talk much about music producers. So I think that's one area too that people should also look at. Because when we talk about music, it's about we don't even talk about the music business. We talk about the artist, just the artist, how the artist is doing. We don't talk about the music business behind what the music business is much more than what we see out there. Because if you don't have the correct or the right people to be managing you and to be doing all sort of things, hey, you have nothing. But then when it comes to the production of music, we see less. I think I don't have the start, but I think it will be 0%. 0%. I should think so. But then there's more room for improvement, and I think moving towards, if there's any indication to go by, this year's Grammy, maybe if they don't stop, maybe the opening of the gate, the floodgates, for a lot of women to come out there, because you have your Harvey Weinstein thing behind you, so nobody could go out there to sort of do what they have. Only the fools among them will do that, because if you see that somebody has gotten into serious problems by discriminating, by putting down women, by doing so many things within the same industry that we all enjoy from, because even if it's $1 or 1 cent, everybody is taken from the same pot. So there shouldn't be any sort of discrimination. But then men will be men and people will be people. But it behoves on the women, the strong women that I see when I'm watching videos of women. Sometimes I say, whoa, this woman is tough. She could be tough. But then the person is acting, singing and acting. But then I know some of them go home crying. But then how do we improve upon this? I think it's up to yourself, myself, everybody out there to start speaking about it, to start, joining hands, like a program like this. We don't normally see things like this, like programs talking about women and gender and all those kind of stuff. We don't normally see it. But I think we have to keep the conversation going on this program. And it's been a very great, awesome program. But before we give ourselves the last word for the listeners, let me indicate to you, listeners out there, next week, Saturday, Tony Prophet, one of the most celebrated gospel singers of all time from Jamaica, who lives in Canada, is going to be a special guest. Next week, reggae gospel artist Tony Prophet. And coming up tonight, this evening, this morning, wherever you may be, on the Blue Sky Show, the chair of the Ontario Black Vote should be the special guest for DJ Jan, Ed Jeffers, and Patricia Lee Brooks out of Seattle, Washington. And it's going to be a very great conversation. And also, we know about this refugee thing that is that has soaked up everybody's sort of clothes. Um, we didn't hear a very good word yesterday. I think one of them may have passed away. Um,
Oh no.
Sleeping outside there
Oh
because
wow.
it's cold out there and nobody should be sleeping outside in tents and stuff like that without heat. So we are going to have a conversation with a pastor from Dominion Church, and Dominion Church has been front and center when before this crisis started, and they are in on it. They are assisting over 150 asylum seekers, and they are doing great. Love Bay has been helping out too. So today we'll be having a pastor from that organization or from that church to give us an update on what is actually going on. And before we go, Petra, you have a last word for the listeners to take with them.
Most definitely. I think today was a really great show. I'm really happy that we got to highlight women in the music industry, and it's definitely a topic that we can definitely keep coming back to. There's one thing that I wanted to touch on. We don't have time today,
Go
but
ahead.
I do want to talk about the mental health of women in the music industry, and I think that's definitely something I would love for us to talk about another time, because we can definitely speak a lot about that. So that's definitely something we can speak about. And but yeah, I just want to encourage all the female musicians out there, aspiring producers, um musicians, songwriters, industry professionals, just to encourage you, to know that, yeah, it is a challenge. You do have to wear many hats, but it's the journey that makes it great. It's so worth it. Definitely stay encouraged. Do not get discouraged. Stay focused on your goals and your dreams. And there are some good men out there in the music industry, like a TYB, like a Ron, that will be there to support you and help you. Yep. And I think together we can really provide a safe space for women to grow and flourish in this industry, and create a really great partnership.
Ron?
Yeah, Petra, how could I say it any better than that? I agree with you. Of course, I think there is a place for anyone, whether you are male, female, or it doesn't matter to me if you are part of any kind of, you are part of the, any of the LGBTQ. It doesn't matter what you and who you are. If you want to do it, you can do it. It just it tends to be male dominated, but I say to the women in there, get out there, because I know there's so many women, as being demonstrated this year in the Grammys. I feel this comes really close to my heart, and I say, go get them. If you think you've got the skills, get out there and get yourself doing what you want to do. That's the most important thing. Do what you want to do, and you can do whatever your heart says that you want to do, and there's no holding you back. So it's a really good topic with you two, and I could talk about this continuously, but because I really think that to me, it's like men, women. After being a teacher for so many years, I don't care if you're a boy or a girl or a male or female. It's like, what do you have? Let's hear it.
Do what you have to do to get results. And folks, thank you for your time and space. Before we leave, I would like to share this with you. The question was, who is the world's greatest singer? And the 200 greatest singers of all time, according to Rolling Stone magazine, it is not TYB, it's not Petra, it's not Ron, it's not Love Bay. In rank, number one, as of January 2023, according to Rolling Stone, number one, Aretha Franklin.
Ooh.
Number two, Sam Cooke. Oh, I'm sorry. Number two, Whitney Houston. Woo, you see where we are, the men, eh? Well, there you go. And, number three, Sam Cooke. And number four, Billie Holiday And it goes on and on and on and on and on. That is as of January 2023. And we'll continue to give you stats. We'll continue to share with you whatever we have. And then you can also join in the conversation. You can call in anytime we come up here. 437-778-3299, 437-778-3299. Don't be shy. Join the revolution, join the conversation, because we have a lot of topics to talk about. Yes, Petra has brought this about, and I can't wait until we touch on the topic of mental health in the music industry. That's going to be a great one. We may have to bring somebody, a psychiatrist or somebody, to come and help us out with respect to that. And until then, folks, we'll see you in 7 days where we'll meet Tony Prophet. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Adios. Bye-bye.
Bye, Love Bay family.
Bye-bye.